I now call the Crosby Township Board of Trustees regular meeting to order for December 9th, 2024. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mr. Lohman,
Here.
Mr. Hyam, here. Mr. Heiss,
Here.
Approval of the minutes for the regular meeting held November 11th, 2024.
I make that motion.
Second it.
Roll call.
Lohman,
Yes.
Hyam,
Yes.
Heiss.
Yes.
I have a copy here for you to sign.
Approval to pay the bills as have been presented over the past month.
So move.
I second.
Roll call.
Lohman,
Yes.
Hyam,
Yes.
Heiss.
Yes.
Correspondence. I've still been everybody was sent that letter about Energy Harbor becoming Dynegy, and just a reminder that everything stays the same, the rates, and people don't have to do anything because people think they have to reply if they want to keep it. Their Energy Alliance is also having an open house on December 20th at 6 p.m. in Blue Ash at Clover Nook Country Club.
Okay, can you say that whole?
Sure. Energy Alliance, which is what we get our Energy Harbor through, is having an open house December 20th at 6 p.m. in Blue Ash at Clover Nook Country Club.
Clover Nook Country Club is in North College.
Oh,
Hill.
you're right. It is. It's in North College Hill. I think their office is in Blue Ash, but the open house is in North College Hill.
What time was that?
6.
Okay.
And there was a Board of Health meeting today at 4. Fernald has ongoing programs weekly. The next WestJAD meeting, which is Western Joint Ambulance District, which covers us in Whitewater Township, is January 9th in Miami Town, the building to the right of the fire station. It's an open meeting, which I'll be there. And then we got a thing from Energy Alliance on the average savings per household from July of 23 to September of 24, and it was $357.04 was the average savings per account.
What was that number again?
$357.04. That's all I have, Dennis.
Basically had the same thing. Nothing new.
Chuck?
I got an email from Lisa Rubb about she's the assistant county administrator about our Northwest Patrol District. Is that something we need to
Yeah, we were going to talk about that probably when,
later?
yeah.
Okay. The other thing I have is from Great Park Forever. A gentleman by the name of Tom Carlson asking for a donation for what you call Go Big champagne through June 30th, 25. The Farmer Family Foundation will match up to $2 million all donation.
That was from someone from Great Parks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called Go Big Champagne. And I recommend you might give stock or money for the IRA and all that. So from now to June the 30th, 25, the first $2 million Farmer Family Foundation will match it. So
I know, he's fine.
on the other thing, I got something maybe you want to talk about later. Ohio Division of Liquor Control.
Yeah,
Did you
I had
get a
that
copy
too.
of
I
that?
did.
Thank you.
I put that in your mailbox.
Yes, okay, so you can bring that later, okay.
I mean, we could, actually, we can take care of it right now, because, I mean, it was correspondence to the trustees. Because it was addressed to the trustees in general, it came into my mailbox as the clerk. So give me a second, let me finish that note on the last one, and we'll deal with it right now.
Okay. I don't have any problem with it.
What are we talking about?
The liquor
thing
control,
For that bar in
um,
New Baltimore.
Oh, I
Yeah.
didn't bring it.
Clark Roadhouse LLC at 6987 New Haven Road.
my assumption is, so this comes from, yeah, this is the, what a few years ago was Danny B's, I believe.
Yeah.
It's just a correspondence from the Department of Commerce, Division of Liquor Control, gives the governing body a chance to object to the issuance of a liquor license. We get these for renewals sometimes too. I have the form here. It says I check one of the following on behalf of the trustees. We request a hearing on the advisability of issuing the permit and request that the hearing be held either in the county seat or in Columbus, or we do not request a hearing, basically essentially leaving the decision up to the Division of Liquor Control. So my assumption is that there would not be a hearing requested unless any of the trustees specifically would like me to have that checked.
I didn't have a problem with them renewing their license. We didn't hear any whole lot of problems down there as far as I know, so,
Yeah. Well, it's a I mean, it's a whole new,
right.
entity. So I'll just mark that,
No hearing.
we do not request a hearing. And then, it actually allows for the township fiscal officer to be the one that signs. So.
Yeah, you're the signer on that.
I will send that on its way.
Do you have anything else, Chuck?
No, I
All right.
don't have anything else.
Give me just a second if you could.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So, and then under guest, we'll do Bob May first, so he can get out of here.
Hello, I'm Bob May. Gentlemen, Dennis, are we going to review the change order?
Yeah, I have it right here.
Okay. An up-to-date on the firehouse. We've got all the plans into the county. We've had to do the flood proofing of the building. We've got to do the, we got to change out the septic system that's there to one that the EPA and the state of Ohio approve, and that's in the works. So we're hopefully going to get our permit in about a week. This has been probably I've never had a project ever that has these kind of issues that we should have known about, but they didn't inform us on it. One of the things, though, that I do want to bring up is, if you've got other properties that are in a floodplain, you guys need to get flood insurance. And I don't know if you got flood insurance on the firehouse or not, but
I have no idea on that one.
it just, those kind of things got brought up. So if you've got any other land or any other valuable pieces of ground, you might want to take a look at that. But everything else is going real good. We've had a few change orders. The one that we did for the septic system was part of the original bid proposal, so we had a price for that. And then the new change order that we asked for, so that we could save money on the retrofit of the existing building, we did some kind of destructive inspections of the existing facility. And there's a masonry wall between the firehouse bay and the office. Because of that, we can just waterproof it. The only section of the back of that wall that we have to do any kind of demolition construction is the bay where the old storage facility was. On the left-hand side, if you're looking at so it's that bay that has already been there for a long time. With the design that we have, the firewall between the new office and the old office, where we need to do the addition for the fire truck or whatever is going to be into that bay, that is already a masonry wall. So that was already in the original bid.
Mm-hmm.
Across the front of the building and on the west side of the building, instead of just using pre-engineered metal building, we have to actually build kind of a stem wall about 2.5 feet, which is kind of normal construction on some projects. So we should be able to economically do that pretty good. So once we get the plans, which we've got, priced out, we'll be able to give the township what the additional cost will be.
What's a stem wall?
Basically, typically, when you're using a pre-engineered metal building, your foundation is here and you'll go right off the foundation.
Thanks.
The stem wall, because of being flood resistant and have to have the strength, we've got to come up about 2.5 feet above the slab on grade. Now, we also will have to put in a few special doors that if a flood is projected, you've got flood doors that keep that area from basically getting damaged. So it sounded like it was worse than it really was, but when we did the inspection and found out that the whole back wall is already there, it makes it a lot easier. So we're hoping to get it started as soon as we can. Alpha's had a superintendent sitting around for about a month. It's getting kind of boring for him, so he'd like to get it.
Everything's just been getting pushed back because of the flooding, measures we have to take, and it's just been a nightmare. So what I have here is another change order, and the change order has to do with the exploratory holes they had to drill around the foundation in order to assess what kind of sealing, floodproofing they had to do. And that amounted to $2,977.76. So I was going to go ahead and I signed it because that's my capacity, and so they can get paid for the work they had to do. So I got a signed contract here for you on the change order.
Okay. Anybody have any questions or anything of? Okay.
No, we just,
Well,
I guess once you get the, since we're in December, once they get the drawings approved and we get a building permit, they will start demolition.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what needs to be demolished is the old salt building and then the pavement, where the new bay is gonna go in and around the outside of the building to extend that, structure out. So we can get that started, and then when weather permitting, they can start pouring concrete and doing stuff. so.
Basically, I'll set up a meeting with Jason to discuss what we're gonna need to do so that they can adjust to what we're gonna be doing. One of the suggestions that I'm gonna end up doing is we're not gonna do anything to the parking lot till later spring anyways. Keep all that blacktop in place. We'll just raise the dirt in around the office area to try to minimize, and I'll go over that with Brandon to kind of make sure that we can keep it as nice and neat and clean as we can,
Yeah,
so.
all right. Thanks, Bob.
Okay,
Thanks, Bob. Okay, so Sheriff, Lieutenant De Paoli.
Thanks for coming.
All right, good evening, everybody. Lieutenant Jeremy DePoli, Hamilton County Sheriff, with the Crosby Township report for the month of November. I will be brief. On one hand, I wish it would be more entertaining, but no news is good news when there's very little bad news going on up here. Criminal reports, we had two. We had a domestic violence incident up in the trailer park and a B&E over off Fort Scott, breaking and entering. That was on the 18th of November. Somebody entered two of the homes under construction over there on Franklin Drive. Removed shower wall kit and a decorative column during the overnight hours. Nothing to process for our detectives. Total loss on that one was $700. The domestic violence incident, there was an arrest made in that. The divert representatives came out to help with that. Again, that's the domestic violence emergency response team. I'll read up on that here in a minute. Non-criminal reports, 3 of those. I think one of those was a death investigation, which was not necessarily suspicious, but our CIS did come out on that. Anytime the coroner wants to come out on a deceased person, CIS comes out as well. That can be for a number of reasons. Could be as bad as it looks like a criminal, maybe a criminal action took place, or it may be as simple as a person who had no medical history, never been to the doctor. Quite often the coroner will want to come out on that, so our CIS will come out and just make sure everything is kosher on that. So our CIS report, we had 2 cases assigned for Crosby Township during the month of November. One of those was closed. Traffic incidents, 6 crashes, 0 OVI arrests. Dispatch report, 97 calls for service and 74 non-billable details, which would be traffic stops, other times where officers put themselves out on investigations, things of that nature. So last part of this will be DVERT, the Domestic Violence Enhanced Response Team, which is run in conjunction with Women Helping Women. They provide immediate resources. They're social workers that come out to assist us so we can handle the criminal investigation. They will respond out and help the victims of domestic violence. And in other situations, even if it doesn't rise to an arrest, often we can bring them out for any woman who may need assistance with any kind of domestic issues. So that resource is out there if anybody's interested. Anyway, we had one incident that required a response during November, and that was the incident where there was the arrest made. So anyway, more information on that program can be found at www.womenhelpingwomen.org. That is all that I have. Any questions, comments, complaints,
Well,
anything else?
we were talking before the meeting about the patrol thing. Where do you think that's gonna go? Or,
Well, what we have is the agreement for police protection services. We were going to bring that up tonight for a vote, but after talking some of the neighbors and from what we've been hearing, Whitewater Township and Harrison Township are rescinding to go along with this contract. So all three townships basically are tied together in this township. So until we hear that the majority are going to sign it, it'd be useless for us to sign it. So I think we should take and postpone it until another meeting to where we get more information from the powers that be.
I
think-
that decision on that one's above my pay grade. Hearing that Harrison was not going to sign it, that was news to me today. I heard that earlier, so I was going to bring that up. But the next step from there, as we said, maybe going back to the drawing board. Again, that decision's going to be between you gentlemen and those above me.
For what it's worth, I think that I think this is an appropriate time to kind of pass the lead to your attorney. And because there's going to be, dealing with these contracts, that may be a material, kind of a material factor in the contract, the participation of the other townships or not, the negotiation of that contract. It's going to involve the prosecutor's office. It's going to involve the sheriff's office. And in interpreting that as to whether it still can apply to you or not, you're going to want a more professional legal opinion on that.
You agree?
Yeah, I'll take a look at it.
Okay.
Is what I'm saying making sense? Am I articulating that well, Mr. Trends? My recollection is that this deal was proposed by the sheriffs, and we thought it was a good deal for us. And I've been encouraging the trustees, to go along with this. But my recollection was that this was an arrangement that was going to be a group effort involving the three western townships. And so if they're saying they're not going to participate, I don't know that the trustees should, sign a contract if the participation of all three were a material item of the contract.
I agree, because I think it's written in that.
I went to the meeting.
It's not
they
broken
had.
down, it's like everybody gets an equal share, or whatever
Right.
they broke the percentage down.
It was
So,
all.
yeah, my understanding was that all three townships would enter into it or not enter into it.
So if they don't, I
I
think
don't
that,
know how you would apply it as to one of the three townships.
well,
It was percentaged out.
the logical question then for the sheriff is whether they would be willing to have the same financial terms, but involving just our township and involving just one patrolman and one cruiser, because the material terms of the contract involve three townships paying for a group of three patrolmen and three patrol cars. So if they're willing to do that, I still think it's a great deal. I don't know if they are. I mean, it's kind of a bit.
That was one question I asked down there at the county administrator's office, because I was talking to them before I talked to the major, and they never got back to me on that.
Yeah.
So
Didn't we have previous year's agreements where all three townships signed it?
No.
that
This is
was
a new-
just
this is new.
presented to us last year.
This is the classic situation where the sheriff, every time it comes around to budgeting, the sheriff would say, we're not providing patrols to you guys anymore because you guys don't pay a contract fee like other townships do for the patrols. The three western townships say, well, we can't afford it. And then, they kind of threatened to not do it, and then historically, the sheriff kind of says, "Okay, well, we'll do it," but it's not really purely designated. You know, like they'll borrow those patrols for whatever's needed, but they're kind of doing it because they want to. They don't have to, and so, you know, I talked to the prosecutor's office about it a long time ago, and their response was, the other townships pay for it. And when they came up with this solution, I thought it was more than reasonable. And so the question is, given the fact that we're saying we're willing to do this, we're willing to sign. We are far from the ones holding this up. Are they willing to deal with us in the same way?
Who's
Just
the
divide it by a third.
Who's the contact?
Down there, the county administrator.
Her name is Lisa Weber.
I'm sorry?
Lisa Weber. I'm sorry, Lisa Webb. W-E-B-B. I got a phone number for her.
Who is, could you write it down, the name and phone number for me?
Yeah, I can get you a copy of it.
Do that for me. Or, yeah, or make a copy.
She's with the
Or she,
administrator down there.
okay.
Yeah, she's the assistant
Yeah, I
county
can
administrator.
contact her.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I went to that meeting they had at the Harrison Township when people were there for it, and they said, I mean, it's percentage-wise broken up, and we run a lower percent because of our population and mileage, but they basically said it had to be all three, almost all three or not. So I don't know. I mean, I guess it's just something we'll have to look into, but I definitely would, like Dennis said, we need to table it for now.
That's it.
That's all, excuse me, that's all I have. Anybody else?
Someone did call me. There's still Long Street. People are still like racing down.
As in like drag racing or just?
Well, just going really
one
fast.
Car doesn't want to.
I think it's a bypass basically to New Baltimore.
Yep.
The New Baltimore bypass.
I
I don't remember ever seeing a traffic jam in New Baltimore.
Well, they can go, there's no stop signs or anything, so they can basically loop around and cut right onto New Haven Road.
I will make a note of it. All right, well, if nobody else has anything, I'm
No.
going to step out. Everybody have a Merry Christmas, stay safe, and we'll see you in January.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Alan, do you need a copy
You
of
wanna-
that?
Pardon me?
You need a copy of the agreement?
Yeah.
You do have a copy? Okay. Okay. I do have an asset copy.
Hi, my name is Kate Denier. I'm the manager of the Harrison Branch Library, so I just wanted to give you an update on some of the things we have going on right now. We have a college questions and answers program coming up on January 18th at 2 p.m. It could be for students and parents. It's hosted by Dr. Raymond Witt, who has spent his career working in colleges. He's going to cover things like admission, financial aid, majors, and just common questions that people might have about college, and he wants it to be very interactive. So if you know anybody who has a potential college student, that program is free. The Harrison Library is a passport application acceptance location. We've been doing this for several years on Saturdays. We recently started doing them on Tuesday evenings as well. So we just wanted to let people know that we have evening option available now. Our passport acceptance does require an appointment.
I signed it.
And to sign up, you can call the branch at 513-369-4442. We are hosting the Newport Aquarium's Wave Foundation on this coming Saturday at our branch. It's December 14th at 11 a.m. They are bringing stingrays to our branch. So we invite people to come learn about the animals and see them up close. Registration is required and can be done through our website or through the phone or just stopping by the branch. I also wanted to let people know that we currently have an open part-time branch shelver position. It's 12 hours per week, including evenings and weekends. Applicants must be 16 years of age and be either a student, a high school graduate, or a GED equivalent. And you can apply online through the library's website. It's chpl.org. And that position will be posted until this Thursday. If there's anything else we can do for you all, please let me know. Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes. Want to get past me?
Thanks, trustees and township staff for letting me talk today. I am the head of the New Baltimore Safety Committee. We are essentially a committee that's trying to protect the quality of life in that area. We're essentially opposing the Hamilton County safety complex that's getting built in Coleraine Township. I don't know if you're aware of that.
What's your name, sir?
Oh, sorry, my name is Nick Berkwine.
What is it?
Nick Berkwine.
How do you spell the last name?
Yeah, it's a B-O-U-R-Q-U-E-I-N.
Q-U-E-I-N.
Yep.
Okay. And what's your address?
So I'm actually a Coleraine Township resident. It's 9738 East Miami River Road. Oh, sorry, I didn't have any other questions. Sorry, I am spreading awareness of the range. I've been talking to a lot of people about it, and it seems like really no one in our area except for some of the police officers that live in Fort Scott have ever heard of the range or are aware of this expansion that's going on. And it doesn't seem like many people are aware of the scale and scope of the expansion either. Ironically, it seems like most of the people that are actually going to be affected by the range are in Crosby Township, which is why I'm here today. And I'm here basically to, depending on your views on it, to ask for your help and advice, and really just what your views on it are as well. Currently, it's, as you know, or as you probably know, it's at the site of the current Hamilton County Sheriff's gun range. Currently, that range is about 10 lanes. It's used, I live right down the street from it, so I've noticed it basically is used about 1 to 2 days a week, maybe for a few hours per day. They have larger events and things like that as well. When this complex is done, it'll be the second largest gun range in the state of Ohio, and it'll be by far the most utilized gun range in the state of Ohio. They have talked about putting in a number of things for sound mitigation. I guess theoretically it could have a lower decibel range, although they are putting in a sniper rifle range, which is actually going to be up on the hill. I've actually brought specifications and printouts for you to examine. Again, I don't know exactly how much you've seen of it, but I imagine you've heard of it. They're also going to be doing bomb disposal training. They're going to be doing driver training. So for the purpose of sounds in the area, it's essentially going to be sound like a racetrack more or less. And by my own estimation, based on other audible nuisances in areas that they've been around, it would probably result in a net loss of probably around $5 million in actual real estate value. I'm working with the head of I'm working with the HOA at Fort Scott. Like I said, we're basically spreading awareness of it so we can basically have a say in what's going on with it. Essentially, the three potential outcomes are that we can get it to move, which probably not realistic. I think ideally we could possibly get it to be an indoor gun range, and then at the very least, we at least need to work with Hamilton County to restrict the hours to something reasonable, because in the current, basically the Cincinnati Police Department range in Lincoln Heights, up until a few years ago, they would be, I've actually included an article with an interview from the mayor of Lincoln Heights that said they were shooting up to 10 o'clock at night. And they're only restricted to Colerain noise ordinance, which is, they cannot make disruptive noises between the hours of 11 p.m. and 7 a.m., which means they can shoot they can do whatever they want basically all year for 16 hours a day. Hamilton County sheriffs, they were shooting today at 7:30 in the morning. But it'll be, a much more utilized gun range, essentially a duration of gunfire that'd be at least 10 times more if they stick to the restricted hours that they currently use at the Cincinnati gun range. But that's what I was here to talk about. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on it. And that's essentially what I've got for you today.
I went to a meeting where they unveiled it, and my main concern was the noise.
Yeah.
I used to live down there in the bottoms when I farmed down there by Rumpke Ball Field, and the noise just echoes up through that river bottoms.
Mm-hmm.
And back when I was down there, they would shoot in the middle of the night.
Really?
Yep. 2 o'clock in the morning, I called up the sheriff department and I said, I can't have this. And then they started restricting it, but they were shooting 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
Whenever somebody got off of their shift and they wanted to go down and get their practice in. Yeah. So, you know, I hear what you're saying. The biggest thing is going to be the noise. When your demolition crew, when they were blowing things up down there, it would shake you when they would detonate stuff.
So they used to detonate things like bombs down there before, I guess?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, you know, but it's over in Colerain Township, and Hamilton County and the city of Cincinnati are pretty big institutions to go up against. You know, they said that the noise suppression they were going to try to keep the noise down, whether they do or don't. I don't know. I know they got deflectors, at least the drawing I saw, looked like they had deflector panels to deflect the noise. But other than that, you know, I'm glad you came, but I don't know what we're going to do about it until you find out how much noise is coming out of there after they put their noise deflection in.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing, is that even if it's a lower decibel level, it'll just be going on all the time. And I went down to Hamilton County a few weeks ago to talk to them about it, and I talked to the project manager for about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And they were, you know, amicable listening to my arguments, but part of my argument was that they didn't, they followed what they legally had to do for letting the public know about it, but no one in that area has ever. I've been going around talking to people other than the police that live in Fort Scott. No one's ever heard of this.
Yeah.
So they could have. I would have expected. I actually had been calling down there for a few years because I'd heard rumors of this project, and I'd been calling to Hamilton County, Cincinnati Police, Hamilton County Sheriffs, Colerain Township, and it was always, it's a project that's being looked at, but nothing's moving forward at this time. And since then, they've given me it looks like apparently there was a hearing in Cincinnati in 2020 and Colerain in 2022, but I guess I wasn't paying attention to the news well enough. It doesn't sound like anybody else in the area was. I would assume that we would have gotten some kind of notice of a zoning variance, but they said that they were legally obligated to notify anyone within 200 feet
Right.
of property. But my parents, I grew up at their house. They live up on Dry Ridge. It's almost 2 miles from there, and you can still hear it plain as day from there. And part of their sound mitigation measures is that they're going to be building 32-foot berms. Between my parents' house and the current gun range, there's several, 100-foot high hills, and you can still hear it just fine.
It sits down there in that bowl, and it
Yeah.
just reflects the noise back out.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Hamilton and Cincinnati are big institutions, obviously, but I'm just Lincoln Heights was able to pressure them into moving it, so I'm at least hoping that we can build enough support to at least cause them to restrict their hours, hopefully to 9 to 5, so that we don't have to listen to it in the middle of the night or on weekends and what have you.
Yeah.
But I really actually did want to hear what you guys had to say about that, just because
Yeah,
I don't know what other people think about it.
I think at the beginning of the year, like Alicia Reese, announced that was one of the things that her accomplishments or whatever, that to fund that, I guess, or whatever. But are you doing this on your own, or are you with a group that's that's concerned, or?
We're forming a group, basically residents in the area. Some are in Fort Scott, some are in Coleraine. It's kind of weird since we're on the border of, two principalities. So we kind of just chose New Baltimore since it's right in the middle. But I mean, you'll see in the papers that I gave, they did a population study. It was of Lincoln Heights, but they talk about the population of that area. And it just says the population of the proposed area that it will be moved to, which our area, it just says XXX, like they didn't even bother they didn't even bother finishing the report on what the area was that they were looking at. And according to the the 2020 US Census, there's over 2,000 people that live within a mile radius of the gun range. And I don't know the commissioners are from more denser population areas, so I don't know if they just looked around and figured there was nobody around that would care. But
Right.
I live about a mile from the Rumpke ball fields. I'm actually closer to Fort Scott, but you can hear them calling last call at 11 o'clock for drinks and stuff like that, like plain as day. So I'm sure that you're going to hear all the gunfire in Fort Scott and and Sedona Ridge. And I actually talked to Ryan. Sorry if I'm taking up too much time. I even talked to Ryan Holmes, the developer of Sedona Reserve, that they're still building homes there, and they had never even heard of this.
Yeah. So
I'm working with a number of different groups just to see what kind of pressure we can put on them to at least restrict the hours.
Well, I'd say, if you make some headway and you want to come back and bring us up to date, I'd appreciate you coming back.
Definitely do that.
Until they put it in and you see what the noise suppression is like, it's almost hard to, because we're going by with the existing, and the existing has no noise suppression.
Yeah.
And so, we're just going to have to wait and see you're just going to have to wait and see if this new technology works or not.
I hope it does. I
I hope it does too, because I can hear it at my house, and I live up on top of the hill.
Yeah.
Going out New Haven Road from Fernald, so that sound still comes around that hill, and I can hear them. So,
You want to give out like a contact information if anybody wants to get a hold of you?
Yeah, absolutely. It's nb513@gmail.com is the email for our group.
say that again.
Yeah, it's NB for New Baltimore.
Yeah.
Safety 513@gmail.com. So admittedly, we are really kind of just getting started, but it's, like I said, I live right next to it. I love where I live, and I don't want our area to get ruined by something like that.
It's not really my conversation, but I would just point out, I read extensive articles about this in Cincinnati.com like years ago.
Did you?
Yeah, when they came to this, agreement to do this like more metropolitan kind of deal and close down that range that the city has. It was reported on. I just happened to read it, I guess, for what it's worth.
Yeah, it was reported on, but it's just one of those. They followed the legal, what they had to do, but for something this, it's almost. There's going to be bombs, so much more shooting. All the stuff you'd think that they would. Even Duke Energy lets you know that they're coming out and working on the power lines. You'd think they'd at least let us know that more than just reading about it in the news. But and anyway, I know they have to go by their protocols.
I got your brochure at my house.
Oh, did you? Yeah, I've been handing. Yeah.
I was just wondering, what is your safety concern? Because the brochure talks extensively about the safety concerns, but you've talked a lot about noise concerns, property values, et cetera. If it's set up to be a place where the ordinance and the firearms can safely be shot as a range where presumably professionals are going to be there, what is your safety concern?
Well, I guess the main safety concern would be stray bullets. I know they're professionals, and they do have
Well, I guess what grounds do you have for a safety concern of stray bullets if the whole point is to be a range where they can safely be fired? Like, what's the cause of that concern?
The cause of the
Because I can go in my backyard and shoot bullets anytime I want. It's a township without home rule. I can discharge a firearm anytime I want. What's the concern with the stray bullets?
Well, essentially, the volume, not the noise volume, but the actual volume of fire that will be going on will be just based on the lanes and the additional operating time. I've calculated it's at least going to be 60 times the volume of fire of what the current range is.
This one goes in.
No range has 0 stray bullets coming off of it, so it will increase the number of stray bullets basically by a factor of 60. Theoretically, I know there's other factors that go into it, but I mean, even my neighbor works down the street on the same street as the current Cincinnati Police Department firing range, and they've had 3 bullets come down through the ceiling of their factory that he works in. I've been trying to get pictures.
Where was that at?
He works. I'm trying to remember the name of his company. I can't recall it off the top of his head, but it's on the same street as the current Cincinnati Police Department firing range. It's right there across the street from St. Rita's.
Okay.
And he's been trying to find the bullets, the bullet holes. They've since been patched, so they don't really look, from what I understand from what he's told me, they don't really look like much of anything. But they did have, I guess one of the guys.
There's a lot of bullets flying around that area on a regular basis.
Yeah, I know you can't prove that it's coming off of there, but there's a lot more bullets coming off of that range than there are from the rest of the community by and large. So I guess from a safety perspective, the stray bullets are the main thing.
Okay, thanks. I'm sorry.
No, you're okay.
Not my lane, but
It's fine. I'm gonna get objections, and it's better to tackle them in a.
I wouldn't necessarily call it an objection. I mean, I don't know. Like they said, it's not in our township, so I don't know what power they would really have to do anything anyway. I don't maybe consider it practice because I mean those questions are, those are you're gonna hear questions like that wherever you go. So
I'm sure. I'm sure of it, and so I appreciate the feedback on it.
All right.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
This is a talk that I gave
Okay.
to the commissioners, just so you have it wasn't addressed to you guys, but gives basically
Thanks.
as well as some of the studies that I got off the website, off of the Hamilton County website.
All right. Legal, Alan?
Yeah, I wasn't at the last meeting, but I did, Chuck brought up Great Parks and reminded me, we did get a letter of intent from the attorney for Great Parks as to what they're planning to do, and I shared it with Rick, and I shared it with Jim Taphorn, I think Gwen too, about, this is what we're going to do. And up until a little while ago, the Hamilton County Building Department was requiring a certificate from Crosby Township. Well, they ultimately, after getting opinion from the prosecutor's office, they determined that they didn't need it. So they went ahead and they've just put us on notice as to, okay, this is what we're going to do. So.
and just for the record, you're referring to the project on New Haven Road, I assume?
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. I made the suggestion to Rick and others that maybe we need to kind of respond to that letter of intent and say, well, if there's deviations from what's in the zoning resolution, maybe we ought to point that out to them in case it becomes an issue. So.
I started a letter.
Okay.
Basically, I said you didn't proceed properly with the zoning.
Right.
And we can't issue a zoning certificate unless you proceeded. And they just stopped it midway. I started a letter, but I have not.
Yeah, their response is always going to be, we don't need to, because of the case law that says they're a governmental entity and all they have to do is make a reasonable effort to comply. So, and then if they're way out of compliance, it would be up to the township to pursue an action in court, maybe injunctive relief to stop whatever they're doing until, there's a court hearing on it. But at this point, we can't enforce it against them. We can only enforce it by going into court and pointing out to the court that they haven't made reasonable efforts, or there's some larger issue that outweighs the public benefit that they're bestowing on the area because of their improvements. So, but I think it would at least make sense to put some sort of response in as to why in some of these proposals that they've made, it's not in compliance with what the zoning resolution would require.
Well, a lot of the first meeting ended up being a lot of non-zoning issues, and were very few zoning issues that they weren't complying with, and they just stopped the whole procedure. So basically, I can't issue a zoning certificate
No,
unless
you
we had
can't.
public meetings.
Right.
And they didn't follow through.
No, you can, the zoning process for them, they don't have to comply with the zoning process. I mean, that's kind of understood. The only point I was making is, based upon their letter of intent, is there a way we can respond to that and say, okay, this is where we disagree with you on what you're doing, because our zoning resolution says this and you're doing that. That was my point of suggesting a response to that letter of intent, just to get it on record that what they're doing is not, if we had the ability to enforce it, and require a zoning certificate, this is what we would require.
I'll complete the letter. I'll have you review it,
Okay.
and then we'll mail it.
All right. Here, I'll send it to their attorney.
Okay.
Okay. That's all I have.
Have you had to do inspections on them?
We've worked closely with the building department, and they've made some changes for us. And I do know that the building department has just completed the updated plans, which included what we requested for them to do, put a fire hydrant in there, make the parking lot bigger. So they are working with us.
Flood-proof doors? We'll show them.
So
All right, maintenance, Jim?
Well, we've been servicing the saws, weed eaters, blowers, mowers, cleaning them all up, got them all new plugs and filters in them. And we done some work down at the cemetery, got that done. And I met with Dennis down there about, I don't know if you were gonna bring this up, Dennis, if you are.
Aye, yeah.
Okay, I'll stop on that. And we're working on the John Deere tractor right now, doing some welding on the bucket, and I had some teeth missing, so I had some old teeth. They're new teeth, but for equipment I don't have anymore, and we welded them on the bucket. Met with a fire alarm guy over here. He was having problems for the inspection part of that, and he said that the rooftop unit over here was the one on this end wasn't working. I said, it's brand new, it has to be working, and it wasn't. And so I called Tim Corcoran, and he come out, and that guy, when he was doing whatever he was doing, he blew a fuse up there. And then it still wouldn't work. Then he had some wires, something wrong back there on his part, and he figured out and got all that taken care of one evening. Tim, I want to thank Tim Corcoran for coming out here, because he's supposed to be retired, but I couldn't get nobody. to come out, and he came from his house and got that done so the guy could have that inspection the next morning. So he got that taken care of. And the other day, last week, I was walking by the septic system back here, which came apart the election day. I said, I want to check that and see what that looks like. Well, it's full and it ain't pumping, so the pump burned up on that, and me and Rick went down, took Rick down, we got a new pump, and the pump itself's under warranty, so we won't have to pay for the new pump, but it got, I don't know if it got hot or what, I don't know what happened to it, but we replaced that the other day. And we've been going around, when everybody noticed, we've been going down the road and picking up garbage, just parking the truck and walking down and getting garbage. Garbage is, when I was a trustee, that was a pet peeve of mine, garbage. I always want Crosby Township to look cleaner than everybody else's township, so I like them pick up garbage. And Rick asked me to remove signs. We got rid of them. I don't know if you notice that the signs on the poles.
Oh, I've been noticing it, and I've been picking them up too, so thank you.
That's why we can't find them no more, because you're, And met with Mrs. Merkolfer over on Aristocrat about the road over there, and she just wanted to know if we're going to set up a plan for streets repairs things, if we're going to have some kind of a 25-year plan or whatever on that. And I told her, I said the worst ones are in Fort Scott right now, and she would be probably on the next phase of stuff. But, you know, people don't understand Fort Scott's newer than them streets, but the first phase of Fort Scott's pretty bad. So, and we had our CPR training. Jason had Stephanie, right?
Yes.
Bittner come over and give us our CPR training and AED training while we came here, and Dennis was here, and that we all took that. I think that was a big help to some of us over here, to know that one of us go down, somebody can maybe save us. And the last thing is the tax exempt thing. And sometimes that's hard. It's hard to buy something when you need it because you don't have an account or that paper for the tax exempt. I know years ago you just had your number and you gave it to the person at the cash register. A lot of these places now, they want you to send this stuff to corporate office or whatever, and it's when you need something. It's how long does that take? You know.
Well, in the
Jim, before you say anything, Jim and I talked about this, and in my comment, and he and I are of the same mind, and I know that the tax exempt thing has come up in conversation before, and our thought was, you know, if you have a retailer, I mean, it came up with the chief. You know, he wanted to buy supplies on Amazon possibly, but man, they don't even care. They don't really care about tax exempt entities. The point is, if you have to buy supplies and your choice is, you know, use tax exempt status just for the sake of being tax exempt, sometimes that's cost prohibitive for what he needs to do, rather than paying tax and have a net savings in money on the product that you need to buy. And so my thought was, okay, so, you know, you have a tax exempt number. Maybe they take it, maybe they don't. Maybe it has to go through some big, huge bureaucracy, and then that's just not going to be for us. And do your best. You know, shop the best place you can, get the best deal, but I know he was concerned about that because it needed to be brought up in this meeting, because we've sat here in these meetings over the past couple of years and even have had checks that may not be willing to be signed because of the fact that it was not a tax exempt purchase. And so I think he's looking for some guidance on the trustees on how you want to deal with that situation. And I told him what my thoughts, but ultimately you guys are the ones that sign the checks. So you're the ones that have to give him the guidance on how to shop for those supplies. Was that fair from our conversation?
My thing is, do you pay $100 for something and get tax exempt, $100 more for it to get the tax exempt, or save the $100 and pay taxes?
Yeah.
Is that something we can get dinged on an audit, though, by paying sales tax?
Well, I think that one thing,
That's what I don't know, does the auditor,
Yeah, that's what I
There-
want.
you pay sales tax?
you know what? You know, the nitty gritty detail of the code, quite frankly, on the spot, I don't know. What I do know is the audits that we have gone through since I've been here, there's not been a single mention of that issue. And I know that there have been, some things that have been bought, without, the tax exempt number being used. And I haven't had an auditor say anything about it. I don't think that they're really looking at the numbers in that way.
Are you still meeting with the auditor?
Yeah, it's just recently completed, but
Okay, I was gonna say, if you talk to
Ask
them,
'em.
I mean, could you ask them and?
yeah, I got her number. I mean, yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, I can
ask
call her
her,
and find
hey,
out.
What's the proper way to do this? You pay more for the thing you're buying, or go, if it's taxes ain't on it, or less with tax.
I think we both, all three of us, majority of our vendors, we are tax exempt. But there are certain occasions where we're not, and they either don't accept it, or we have to go through a ladder for them to accept it.
Right.
And that's our issue, is if it's okay for certain things, maybe we'll just say a dozen purchases per department head per year. If that's okay, then we'll just stick with that.
I mean, I don't know where Harry's got the tax exempt from, or Mike had, you know what I mean? I don't know where, I don't have a list of where I can
Right.
go.
Well, where to go?
Well, in the township credit card policy that I drafted that we're going to discuss later, item 4 says all purchases must be tax exempt when possible. So it's saying when possible. So it's not saying that you have to, it's just that when you run into a situation that you can't do it, you go ahead and make the purchase. So, that's one of the,
No, that had to be approved by you guys, I mean.
yeah, we got
But
to,
that's
we
not
got to vote on
That's
everything.
not approved yet, that point.
No.
right? So,
It's a hard thing. It's a fine line because you say you can't, but then sometimes you can, and then does it make it easier that you can a lot? Or I'm not saying you would, but
I know the whole point is you're spending taxpayers' money on taxes that you're not supposed to.
Right.
Right, we want to get the
But
best
then
deal
again, do you
possible.
want to pay more for something
I know.
than what the taxes are? So it's like you're in between, and
Yeah,
then we don't want to have to make you come back and say, well, to prove to us that you got it cheaper by paying taxes, because then that would add to you. It'd be more of a trust thing, kind of.
yeah, but you don't want.
So I don't want you having to
You
come
don't
back
want
with
your
quotes.
auditor to say, hey, you gotta have proof that he could have bought this cheaper either, so you.
Right. So that would add a lot to you guys
You
to
have to have, well, I gotta go around and get a price from them and.
get
then
quotes.
Go to buy say a hose or something, it's like,
yeah.
Yeah, I think Matt, that would be good just to try to find out.
Yeah, I'll
And then
call.
maybe we'll take it up at the next meeting or something. Do you have anything else?
that's it.
Oh, since he touched on the graveyard, we were getting estimate on putting new fence around the 2 graveyards down at the corner of New Haven Road before you get to 128. And we were looking at the fence line, and there's trees that have grown out. And if we pulled the fence line in, we were going across somebody's grave because the headstone is facing east, And so basically, we would be cutting the fence across their shins in the grave because we were coming in to get around those trees. So I went down and I got a hold of Jim Welsh, and he has signed a letter here giving us permission to go within 4 feet of the property line to put the fence in on his side to go around the trees. So we have that permission right here, and I'll give that for you to file. And so they're going to get the fence guy down there to take that out, because basically we got to go out about, the way we looked at least 3 feet to get around the trees and the roots that go out. So Jim's going to have him give us a new estimate. And then it was brought up about the fence around the old town hall is in pretty despicable shape. If it's all right with the township trustees, we get the fence guy to give us a quote to go around 3 sides of the old town hall, not anything up front, but to go around the 3 sides. He talked to Mr. Weisbrot, and they would prefer to have a fence there if we took the fence down. So that's pretty much everything. You got anything to add to that?
No.
It was all the same kind of fencing? Like
Yeah, it'd be
the
a
vinyl?
two plank fence
It's gonna be
like,
the same fence that's over at Shaker, it's like a diamond. It's not a flat, the one over at
Yeah.
Shaker's like
yeah,
a
it's a
It's,
diamond plank, so it's basically
Oh.
like a
like a diamond shape.
3 or 4.
No, there's a word for that.
A lot more
It's,
sturdier and not as wavy as the plank fence.
So at the cemetery, we just leave an opening for people to go in and out, or would
Right.
there be a gate,
There's gonna be gates.
or would be a gate?
come on, Doug, there's a name for that. Name is, it's escaping me, that type of fence. When it's, when it just slides in and out of the post like that.
Like a split rail.
Split rail.
Oh, yeah.
Not wood,
Oh, it's a split
It's gonna be
rail,
vinyl,
but it's vinyl.
Okay.
vinyl, but it's basically the same
Yeah.
as the split rails, but it's over there, Shaker's got it, and that way all the fences be the same. And I kinda told him, I said, add take a couple sections for spares, that we have, since every fence is gonna be the same, trees are gonna fall on.
Right.
It's gonna run
Someone's gonna
into
drive
them,
into it.
Yeah.
so that we have some spare pieces. Because we're
Makes
gonna have
sense.
4 different places with that fence up.
Yeah.
So just to keep in the maintenance building, and hope we don't gotta use them, but in case we do, because it's gonna be something that's probably gonna get deleted. One of these days, they're not gonna have it, probably. All right, that's it.
All right. Thanks, Jim. Fire Chief Davis?
November run totals, we had 33 EMS details, 30 fire details, for a total of 63 details in November. I'd like to recommend placing a Knox box on the building here at the community center. What a Knox box is, it's a metal vault that holds keys that we have access to during emergencies after hours. I know there are 3, maybe 4 doors in here with different keys. The new alarm company or alarm system you guys have is a key for the annunciator panel. And that key is currently kept in the alarm panel in the back room, which I believe is locked. We would have it's unlocked now. But we
You
can
have to
also put
you have to go into zoning
Yeah, you have to
now.
go through the zoning door, and that's locked.
Yeah.
Locked into different.
Attached to the report, I've got a picture of what the box looks like. There's one over the maintenance building. We have the maintenance keys in there. We are the only, our trucks can only open Crosby Township Knox boxes. So Harrison can't open them up, it's only Crosby Township. And there's one key in the truck. We have to punch in a code to release that. It tells us who punched it in and how long the key was out when the key goes back in. So we have, it's a way of tracking who uses that key for businesses. It saves us from breaking locks, windows, and doors. If you do approve it, I would get with Jim. We would install it on the wall out there or on the back side of one of the columns.
I'll go ahead and move that we appropriate up to $487 to put a Knox box at the community center.
$487.
487.
I second it.
Roll call.
Okay, thank you. As Mr. Niehaus said.
Hold
he
on,
did-
hold on.
Wait a minute,
hold
we
on.
didn't vote yet.
Sorry.
Lohman,
Yes,
Hyam,
Yes.
Heiss,
Yes.
you're good now.
Mr. Niehaus said we had a CPR and AED training class for the maintenance personnel in November. I would like to recommend that we purchase an AED and a wall cabinet for the maintenance building, identical to what we have here. They trained on the AED here. It'll be the same thing. When it comes in, we will install it on a wall over there, either next to the office or somewhere visible for all the maintenance personnel to know where it's at. And then if we need to go over it again, we can go over using that again once it comes in. And they're over there quite a bit, and it would save some time from, if something does happen, they can grab that before we get there, and it would help.
Well, everybody over there is over 65, so,
Except one.
except for one.
I'm the second youngest there at 67.
And I've attached the AED and the metal cabinet for that to my report also.
I make that motion to buy AED and the cabinet for $1,199.49.
Second it?
Would it be fair to say up to $2,000 on,
Yeah, up to 2,000.
Or 11, you mean 1,200?
or 1,200?
1,200.
Okay.
Yeah, round it off.
50 cents. Roll call.
Was that second by Hyam?
Yes.
Lohman,
Yes.
Hyam,
Yes.
Heiss,
Yes.
We've completed the OTARMA online grant request. With that grant, we've requested individual flashlights to go onto the radio straps and/or the fire gear, retractable mic keepers for the fire gear, and a glove strap for overhaul and/or extrication gloves.
How much was that grant for? Do you remember?
1,009, it was 2,000
Up to
max.
2,000 you
We
could
were just
spend.
under 2,000.
Were you? Okay.
And that was completed on November 14th. So have you heard anything back from the maintenance side yet?
Uh-uh.
Yeah. When it comes in, I'll let you.
Well, if you did yours online, I sent mine paper.
Oh,
So
Okay.
we'll see who gets the fastest response.
all right. Our 2004 engine was sent to Atlantic to fix a priming issue that we have had temporarily fixed numerous times before the 23 engine arrived. The 23 engine will be going up for some warranty work and to put a drain line in the hose reel. So the 04 will be placed in service. That primer unit had to be replaced. I've attached to my report the maintenance, or I'm sorry, the amount for that from Atlantic for the parts and labor. Once that's complete, they'll be sending it back to us, and then we will schedule a time frame for the 23 to go back up to Atlantic for the work needed done that. So I'm asking for approval for $4,659.94 for that primer unit.
So this is already done? They already do it?
It's up there now, yeah.
4,600 what?
$59.94.
94 cents.
Yeah, I'll make that motion to pay that.
I second it.
Roll call.
Lohman,
Yes.
Hyam.
Yes.
Heis.
Yes.
And I have one more thing that would like to talk about. The township has cameras here at the community center, and recently we put a camera in at the maintenance building. I believe the one at maintenance building is doing very well, just like the one here. I'd like to have a camera at the parking lot for the firehouse also. In the past, we've had some non-township employees or Hamilton County vehicles parked there in the parking lot at different hours of the day and night. We've tried to go out there and talk to them and see what they were doing. We've had to call the sheriff's office a couple times. So I don't know what it costs to add cameras to the system that we currently have. I do know I have some information for you on a local company that's in the area that stopped by a couple weeks ago that was doing an install in the city of Springdale. He gave me a list of Springdale, Montgomery, Warren County, and Ross that has cameras up there. I will give this to you. You can look at the prices per year. If it's comparable, if it's not, I'm okay with, if it's possible, to have another camera added to what we have here or over there.
I don't know if you could add it to this.
Yeah, I don't know what company the township uses.
I would think we would put that on hold until we get the addition put on. Then that way you could locate it after
Yeah.
the new addition's on.
Would we be able to piggyback off what the township has already?
We'd have to figure that one out. I don't know.
The company would.
You have to get with Brenda and find out or Matt, who the vendor is that has our cameras and pursue what you're wanting to do and see what that entails.
Yeah. I spoke with Jonathan Keller today earlier and with Jason. I have we originally got it from Absolute Security, and it was Mr. Macaluso, and then he retired. And the person who did all of his installing I know his first name's Bob. I think it's Schnell, but whatever it was. I've got his phone number, and I passed it on today. I don't know the answer either, so
Right, we'll just
I'm
have
not
to
technical
find
enough
out.
to know either. So, yeah.
That's all I have.
Can I say something?
Sure.
About Jason? Matt Teeters called me the other day. Phil Teeters had a stroke, and Phil had a stroke, and I was just want to tell Jason that Matt, his son, called me and said how wonderful job you guys did, and he was really appreciative of what the fire department was, and he said he thinks that's who saved Phil was our fire department. Yeah.
I would earn.
So I just
He
wanted
doing
to
all
say
right?
that when he's on fire, that Matt was really impressed. So,
Good.
Thankful.
Good
Good.
news.
yeah.
Kudos to our fire department.
Jason, could you get an estimate on how much that gonna cost to put Crosby Township on the fire chief?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
I think that's the only vehicle we have that gonna say Crosby Township. So,
I will.
thank you.
Anything else? All right, community coordinator Brenda.
Well, this evening, I'm talking about December, and we're already kicking off Christmas around here. Just going to give you few highlights of what has happened and what's coming up. The Senior Club Christmas Luncheon was attended by several members and friends on December 3rd. After lunch and our monthly meeting, we enjoyed listening to Phil DeGreg, who is the Professor Emeritus and Dean of Jazz at the College Conservatory of Music. This gentleman can play the piano so amazingly, and he doesn't even have music. Like, you can call out any music or thought of jazz or Christmas or whatever, and he just really did an amazing job. And he's very casual. He kind of said at the end, Well, I'm going to need to kind of go ahead and leave. I've got another place I need to perform this evening, but it's been great being with all of you Crosby seniors. This was the second time we'd had him back. And then I saw a picture, I think it was on Facebook that night. He was on stage at Music Hall leading the whole Charlie Brown jazz performance at Music Hall with a bass player and a drummer. And I just thought to myself, we are so lucky to get talented, quality musicians here for our seniors, and they loved it. It was good, very good. We followed that up with a great night of music and Christmas carols on Friday night, this past Friday night at 7 p.m. here at the Community Center. We welcomed back Foley Road, who is a Celtic band that provided music for the community, and we enjoyed a reception after. This Friday will be our annual Kringle Chest Wrapping Party, and we invite anyone who likes to wrap presents to come and join the party for all the kids that we've been working to support Santa with here in Crosby. It's this Friday night at 7. A little picture of the benefit at this point. The children's benefits wrapping up nicely. We have 20 families this year that we are taking care of with 48 children. There are currently 24 donors from local businesses and friends of Crosby Township who have already contributed to this year's success for Santa. There are 16 shoppers comprised of families and teachers who make sure the right gifts are under the tree on Christmas morning, and that's truly a blessing. The annual Voce Christmas concert will be held at the Martin Marietta Theater at William Henry Harrison High School at 4 p.m. on Sunday, this next Sunday, December 15th. This year's performance is called "'Twas the Night Before Christmas," and I know it'll be great for families of all and everyone in from your youngest to your eldest in your family. They'll all love it. You can still purchase the tickets from members at the door, and I believe they were $10. This weekend, I was able to attend the Harrison Center for the Arts. That's a new program. They did a presentation. I don't know if anyone got to go there. Of the American Christmas Carol, and it was at the Broadway Commons there where the old skating rink was. It was an excellent drama as a 1944 American depiction of the novel by Charles Dickens, and it was really neat because the playbill they had a nice line in it about thanking Crosby Township for all the rehearsals that they were able to do here, the same as what Voce does, and it's just good in our community to be able to offer those kinds of things to our local performers and people. Crosby Cafe is featuring live music with local musician Ron Hollowell and his band on every third Wednesday evening of the month right here. Next week, December 18th, the cafe music will be from 7 to 9, and it's free. Everyone's welcome. And I think that's pretty much all my Christmas wrap-up. I hope to see you guys on Friday night if possible. I know you've all, with your schedules and things, it's hard, but I know you all work this in when you can, and we appreciate it. All done.
Anything for Brenda? Thank you. Fiscal Officer Matt.
The fiscal officer report was issued to your mailboxes. I just remembered to write this down. The final audit is complete. There was an exit meeting attended by the trustees and myself, along with the auditors, last week. And but we don't have the final audit in our possession yet. That will come sometime this month. We also got notice, because chronologically we are behind, that the next audit will be commencing almost immediately, and we were given some preliminary information that they would like from years 2022, 2023. I have a letter here that I received. And what I would like to do, unless there's objection from the trustees, I would like to refer this to Mr. Trends. Mr. Trends was able to very quickly and efficiently get us some satisfaction related to the auditor and taxation of our different parcels and such. And I don't know that any action really needs to be taken. It's just it's advising us of the increase in value of the property here at 8910 Willie Road due to building improvements. And, you know, if I just would like Mr. Trends to be able to look into what, just make sure that it's in fact being taxed at the right rate, regardless of what, you know, they say the value of the property is, if that makes sense. You know, because, you know, we have a valuation of, you know, over $1,300,000, which, and you know, there's 2 buildings in the property. I don't think that's all that much out of bounds, but I just want to make sure it's being taxed properly is all. So if you guys don't mind, I'd like to refer that question to Mr. Trends.
That's fine by me.
All right. There was the Strickers Grove contract we had gotten just before the last meeting. As long as I provided that to the trustees, unless there's any objection to that, I will send the contract signed by Mr. Lohman and the deposit to Strickers Grove, as long as that's all right with the trustees.
Fine by me.
I think everyone's kind of on board with that before, so. And then here's some good news. The township received, this was a new one for me, and I had a conversation with the auditor's office actually just today, because it was I had to figure it out as part of the bank reconciliation for November. The township received nearly $20,000 due to a real estate assessment surplus in November. And it was really odd because it came with an email, didn't really have much instructions with it. So I talked to them, and essentially the auditor's office, every 6 years, they go through and take surplus funds associated with the assessment of property taxes, and they have the opportunity to reimburse local governments with those surplus monies. They're not obligated to, they don't have to, but they can, and they did. And I guess our piece of that allotment was it was $19,000 plus. It was almost $20,000. With really, they couldn't really give me any guidance on how to deposit it. Essentially, what I did was I put it into the revenue fund for the general fund related to property taxes. So it goes into the general fund. It doesn't have to be, it's not like a grant. It doesn't have to be used for anything specific. It's just notice that, you know, we got that back. So that's a good thing.
Did you say that's from that state or county?
County.
County.
Yeah, it's related to just standard property taxes. Let's see. There's I said at the last meeting that I would, or no, I said in an email, I think, in between the meetings from Chief Davis, and maybe at the last meeting as well, I would find out information related to remaining ARP funds. So we have a small percentage, but I guess in gross terms, a tangible, significant amount of money left of ARP funds. My information says that ARP funds have to be obligated for expenditure by the end of 2024, December 31st, 2024. And then they can be expended, I forget the exact date, into 2026, maybe the end of 2026. My proposal for the remaining ARP funds that are unencumbered in our bank account is for those to be obligated, certified in a purchase order for 2023 that would then carry over to 2024 for the addition to the firehouse, because we're getting change orders, costs are increasing anyways. We've got these the mound system, the fireproofing of the building, etc.
How much was left in there?
It's in the report.
I'd seen
I don't recall the exact number. I feel like it was like 20-something thousand, but I don't exactly recall. It needs to be obligated. My idea is that having it encumbered in that way for an existing project would suffice to do that. I mean, I guess we'll find out. Only time will tell. ARP is kind of the first thing of its kind. I don't know that we'll ever see anything like that again. So we'll see down the road whether they feel it's appropriate or not. But that's my idea on how to do that.
Would you want to use the full 20 for the building, or 10 for the building, and within the next 2 weeks, give you 10 for something else?
You're pretty limited what you can use it for, because you can use it for roads, and then because we use it for you can use it for parks and stuff.
Yeah,
too, but
Yeah, we use it for parks. We bought his cruiser out of it,
yeah,
and
you
but-
can use it for the firehouse.
I believe so. I remember looking that up in the past. I mean,
We have road projects.
there was an expenditure of, I mean, all of those fire expenditures you just authorized I'm sure those would be fine. You're fixing a fire truck, AEDs. I mean, the AED is like a classic example of something. It's supposed to help people, I don't see any problem with any of those things.
Yeah.
For me, it just seemed logical to put it on one thing that covers the full amount.
Just get rid of it.
Because I mean, we haven't even started demolition yet, and there's already change orders, increased costs. That's only going to continue. So
sure.
There's no objection to that. I mean, I think I believe that. Let me double check something.
According to your report, there's only $8,000 under American Rescue Plan.
Yeah, I may have remembered that wrong. I just want to look at one other thing real quick. Yeah, that's right. I thought it was more. Well, hold on.
This page doesn't line up.
There's a couple of figures on there that, as I sit here, don't make sense to me, but given the cost of that project, I think I'll be able to work it out eventually and make the numbers make sense. But the issue isn't just,
You remember what the charge was for the lockers? That was a change order. How much? You know, you could use that for the change order on the lockers and eat it up, and then equipment that's being put on the fire engine, and that would pretty much take care of it, whatever the balance is.
what's bothering me is the unencumbered balance number on there. And that's the number that's bothering me. And so,
Well, if you want to go back and double check.
yeah, I might have to do that once.
I don't think we have to
Once we
vote
take
on
a
that,
break.
do we?
Well, if there's, we would if there was, a need to appropriate anything.
Let's do up to $20,000 then.
I don't know where he's.
I don't know, might have to just table this for later in the meeting, and I'll be able to get a better answer for that once, maybe in between.
Looks to me like something
regular
didn't print out right. Because the Fire and EMS Services Fund doesn't have anything underneath of it. Well, the other one is a firefighter EMS, so I'm screwed up there, so. Now, you look into it later on, but I agree with you, we shouldn't have that much money left over unencumbered.
Yeah. Finally, ultimately, I'm going to propose the hire of Jamie Mather as Assistant Fiscal Officer. She's present in the meeting right now. Would like to request an executive session to discuss her employment, given the fact that this particular meeting is going to go long related to the planning of the organization for 2025. I'd like to request that executive session, if it please the trustees, maybe perhaps right after Mr. Espel gets done with his report, and then come back to take care of the rest of the meeting. But I'd like to be able to discuss that. What I don't think it would take a long time, but whatever needs discussion in executive session, so that in the open meeting there can be a vote on her employment while she's here, so she doesn't have to be here the whole time.
Either that or just go through our regular board and after new business, break for executive session, and then we got a clean break going into the organization
Yep.
meeting.
However you guys would like it.
That makes sense.
Fine. Yeah.
That probably won't take that long.
Okay.
I think that does it for my items at this part of the meeting.
All right. Thanks, Matt. Zoning, Rick?
Our zoning, we had 4 new residential homes, 2 decks, and 1 commercial sign issued last month. I also have a request for the trustees. We had a public zoning commission meeting on Wednesday, December 4th. That was concerning the zoning resolution text amendments for the zoning book. It was to revise current zoning regulations to address issues and concerns that have arisen since the last set of text amendments. The meeting was to get public comment on these amendments, and there were none. So now it is up to the township trustees to approve these amendments. This needs to be done at a public hearing by statute within 30 days. So we need a special public meeting set up before the next trustee meeting, because the next trustee meeting is more than 30 days away.
Right.
And that's on January 13th, to stay within the 30-day period. So I'm suggesting this be done on January 6th, 2025, to stay within the 30-day grace period.
And Mr. Espel, if I could, what that meeting is to approve what exactly was that?
It was a.
It's to review and approve the proposed zoning amendments that the zoning commission has presented to the Board of Trustees.
Okay.
And it's got to be at a public hearing. We have to post, we have to put notice in the paper, and there's a period of time where people can inspect the proposed amendments. And then at the public hearing, by resolution, you can, if you approve those amendments, do it by resolution. And then the amendments take effect 30 days after you approve.
Was that a Monday?
Yes, that's a Monday. That's what I'm suggesting, but we only got 2 days, really,
Right.
Monday
yeah,
and
that's fine
Tuesday.
with me.
So you just have to decide, what time and do the meeting at that time, so that we can advertise it.
Right.
And we
Right.
have to get it into the paper by Wednesday of
Is
this week.
7 o'clock.
Yeah. Yeah, January 6th, 7 o'clock works for me.
Whoever does such things with drafting the resolution, given what's going to come later in this meeting, most likely that would be Resolution 08-2025, your resolution number.
08-2025. Okay, good. Yeah, I'll prepare that resolution.
So when we have that meeting to the public, we can make the resolution the same night if there's no objection?
You can pass the resolution the same night, yeah.
Okay.
You have to pass it within 30 days after the
Pass it within-
public hearing. Well, if you have the public hearing and then you pass the resolution the same night, you're good.
We do have 30 days to pass it.
You have 20 days.
20 days.
After the public
Okay, so we
hearing.
have, we have some time.
Yeah, you need
in
the
case
20,
somebody-
you need to have the hearing within 30
30
days. And then after that, actually, I should correct myself. You have 30 days after the public meeting to recommend the approval or denial of the amendment. So if you want to wait, after the date.
Well, I'm just saying if somebody shows up and they got questions and then we still have some time.
Sure.
Okay, that's all I wanted to make clear.
So January 6th
7.
at 7 p.m. Okay. We'll get that in the paper. And I've got one other thing.
Now, who gonna do the public notice? Is Diana take care of it? Okay.
Were we approved to buy the new file cabinets for the office? That
So what you had put- Yeah, it was. That's what they requested in our budget in their budget for next year.
No, we'll
Yeah,
be
we're voting on
addressing
that
that tonight.
Oh, okay. The main question was, okay, so if it is approved, I just need to know the procedure, because you were talking sales taxes again, and a purchase like that's going to be quite a bit of sales tax. So who would I talk to about the procedure once? Okay, I'll talk to Matt at that time.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's it.
Thanks, Rick. So old business. Just that the new fire system is installed in this building. And then there was a thing with Johnson Control that Dennis told me, well, I saw it too, and on a late charge, which I believe is sales tax, and I've been talking to the salesman, and Brenda's been sending them some information, so we're getting that taken care of. It's just $49. That's all I have. Dennis?
The only thing I have is policies, and we're going to address that at the organization meeting, so I have none.
None.
And then new business, we got a ballot from Otarma for Board of Directors. There was 4 people on it. There's one of them's a local person from Riley Township, and then another one was a woman who's already like the Board of Directors, I believe. So I mean, I recommend those 2, but if anybody else wants to.
Now, I'd say the president handle the choice on that.
Okay.
And I'd be happy with that.
I go with it.
All right, so I'll do that. Take care of that then. That's all I got. Dennis?
None.
Chuck?
None.
And I guess I need a motion for
I
executive.
move that we go into executive session for the new hire.
At 8:45.
Is there a second?
Oh, sorry.
Second.
I second it.
Roll call.
Lohman?
Yes.
Hyab?
Yes.
Heis?
Yes.
And what time do you have there?
8:45. So we'll resume the meeting at 9:09.
Hold on, I lost my pen. Okay.
You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I make a motion that we hire Jamie Mather, effective December the 11th, 2024, for a maximum of 25 hours a week and at a pay of $25 an hour, and she has a 60-day probationary period.
I second it.
Roll call.
Lohman?
Yes.
Hyab?
Yes.
Heis?
Yes.
Congratulations.
Welcome to the team.
Welcome.
I'll look into, I don't know if we ever did this with Brian or not. There may technically have to be some oath that she has to take. We can probably take care of that at the next meeting. I want to research that a little bit.
Okay.
And actually, also for the purposes of the trustees, that's actually one thing that we're supposed to keep a file of. So you guys run for re-election and you do oaths. We actually have to have the text of the oath and like a signature, and we're supposed to actually keep that in a file.
Is that just for elected officials, though?
Yeah, but I what I want to look up with her is there's specific statutes related to assistant fiscal officers, and given the nature of the job,
Okay.
she may have to have one as well. I'll find out.
Okay.
I guess we'll move on to the organizational meeting, and I guess I'll let Matthew take over on that.
So as part of the organizational meeting for 2025, trustees agree to relinquish your positions at this point. Mr. President, you relinquish your position?
No, I'm staying.
You insurrection?
Yeah.
I make a motion to nominate.
Well, hold on. I didn't ask for your motion yet. I'm in charge of this meeting, Mr. Heiss. Well, one thing I mentioned, just for the record, I know it's going to be a long night, and I told Jamie ahead of time that she didn't have to stay for all of this, and you know, other people, I guess, that were here already assumed that, thankfully. But so with the board relinquishing their positions, do we have a motion for president of trustees for 2025? Mr. Heiss?
Yeah, I make a motion that we nominate Doug Lohman for the president of the trustees for 2025.
Is there anyone that seconds that motion?
I'll second it.
Roll call.
And Mr. Lohman,
Yes.
Mr. Hyam,
Yeah.
Mr. Heiss,
Yes.
and is there a motion for nomination for vice president?
I think Doug can take over now.
I'll nominate Dennis.
I'll second it.
Roll call.
Lohman,
Yes.
Hyam,
Yeah.
Heiss.
Yes.
All right. Mr. President, if you would please, I'd be happy to run through all of these proposed resolutions if you'd like, even though you're reinstalled as president.
I turn the meeting over to you. So.
Okay. All right, so let me get to my spot here.
Plus, yeah. This is all effective January 1st.
So I have proposed resolution 01-2025, and this is related to the document that was provided in the planning meeting of proposed budget appropriations. I can open the floor for any discussion related to those appropriations, or I can take a motion to accept those as permanent appropriations for the budget.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Lohman,
Yes.
Hyam,
Yes.
Heiss.
Yes.
And that schedule of permanent appropriations will be attached as an attachment to Resolution 1-2025. I have that here for you to sign. So keep this attachment with the resolution.
You get this time. Don't get Dennis yet.
I have Resolution 02-2025, proposed resolution. It would authorize and certify the utilization of purchase orders, blanket certificates, and super blanket certificates by the fiscal officer to the limit set by the budget appropriations for year 2025.
So move.
Second. Roll call.
Lohman,
Yes.
Hyam,
Yes.
Heiss.
Yes.
I have proposed resolution 03-2025 that would grant fund level legal control to the fiscal officer for the management of funds in year 2025.
I make that motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Loman,
Yes.
Hyam,
Yes.
Heiss.
Yes.
I have proposed resolution 042025, which would allow the fiscal officer to deposit amounts less than $1,000 within 3 business days of receiving, and then he safeguards the monies until deposited.
I'll make it.
Second.
Roll call.
Loman,
Yes.
Hyam,
Yes.
Heiss.
Yes.
I have proposed resolution 052025, which would require approval by the Board of Trustees for all non-operating expenses over $1,000 in all departments.
I make that motion.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Loman,
Yes.
Hyam,
Yes.
Heiss.
Yes.
While you guys are signing that, if you want to get your calendars out. We're
Can
gonna,
that be, can that be changed, like, if something would come up through the year, or is that like set in stone?
But you can change it.
I mean, if there's a snowstorm or something,
yeah, I mean,
it can be, it's just a set.
sure, and meetings
Tentative.
obviously can be added with, proper notice and such.
Right.
But I have a list of, on the agenda, I have a list of proposed regular meetings for the Township Board of Trustees meetings for year 2025. I have listed every second Monday of every month of the year. That's January 13th, February 10th, March 10th, April 14th, May 12th, June 9th, July 14th, August 11th, September 8th, October 13th, November 10th, and December 8th. Is there any,
None of them fell on a holiday this time, so.
any objection to any of those from the
Except,
trustees?
July the 14th, it's my birthday. That's a day off.
We were gonna have a party.
Oh,
You get 2 extra mints at your desk.
13th is a holiday, Columbus Day.
I thought after a certain age, you got to have both days.
Yeah, I mean,
I move we accept those dates.
Second. Roll call.
Loman,
Yes.
Hyam,
Yes.
Heiss.
Yes.
And Jim, I heard your comment. Thank you for bringing that up. I mean, we ended up having the meeting as scheduled on Veterans Day this year. So if we're going to meet on Veterans Day, we'll meet on Columbus Day.
I just said that because I know we met on Veterans Day.
We get
Yeah.
time and a half for holidays.
So, okay. So those will be the meeting dates for 2025. Next, employee I labeled general these kind of provisions as employee travel and township business. Approval of payments to all township employees and elected officials while on pre-approved township business or attending a function for the good of the township with prior approval of the Board of Trustees for the year 2025. With relation to registration fees for workshops, conventions, hotels, and cab fares. This is copied off of what was accepted by the trustees last year. So you just have to weigh in if you want anything different than this.
The only thing, probably, talking to my wife working for the school system, is that they never got reimbursed for any, my mind went blank. Added on to the end of the bill.
Tips?
Chips. Tips aren't reimbursed because that's a discretionary item. So, if we need to discuss it because it can be a sticking point at times. So
Okay.
just to stay clean, I would say tips are not reimbursed. That are under 15. If you want to make it so it's under 15% of the bill, we can. If you want to not allow it at all, it'd be clean. I mean, what's the feeling of the board?
I would say probably not at all.
I have a problem with no tip.
You have no problem with tips?
No tip, no.
Oh, no tips?
Yeah, I don't have any problem with no tips.
Okay, well then they don't get reimbursed for tips.
So perhaps what I'll do is add the text as no sales tax or
Right.
tips will be reimbursed by the township.
Fine by me.
Has that mile rate changed from last year?
It actually is the same. Yeah,
They
we
get
just,
price by
we just looked
price.
it up. I was surprised. Reimbursement of 67 cents per mile, or as the federal rate changes throughout the year, and then meals. And I guess I think we already addressed the tip issue. The question is what you would want the reimbursement for meals up to while out of town. And also, by the way, I'll add that in this kind of set of policies here, I took out language we've had over the years about different rates if you're in Washington, D.C., because no one's gone to Washington, D.C. since I've been in office. That's been over 5 years. And so I don't see any reason to differentiate.
I don't know about,
Did we never had an amount last year?
No, we had an amount, but I can tell you my restaurant bill has gone up. So,
Well, what amount did we have
well, if
last?
somebody's going to go to Washington DC, we can pass something that cover that bill if
sure.
somebody's
Oh,
going there on a special
yeah,
thing.
sure.
So this is just a blanket thing. I would say $50 per day while out of town. Is that reasonable? I mean, I don't have a problem with it, but what's everybody else think?
Would you spend a day when you went and seen the Pope in Europe this year? Did you talked about? Didn't you write that off with that trustee?
What now?
When you went over to Europe, was you on trustee business over there?
No, I didn't do any, yeah, trustee business. Yeah, it was monkey business.
I can certify no, we did not.
You got mileage? for
No
your
Viking
flight?
cruises.
Yeah. So 50, is everybody agreeable on that?
Any comment on that?
The only other thing, when I up to Columbus for the township annual township meeting. There's a forms you can take with you, and they would not charge you certain hotel tax. I'm not sure what tax they are.
You know,
but
get the hotels or something.
yeah, when you get a hotel, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, and and if you're there on government business too, they typically give you
Yeah,
a
you got a
rate.
form you take with you.
Yeah.
And, you know,
So, do I have a motion to
I move as amended.
including 50 per day per meals?
Yeah.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Roll call.
Lohman,
Yes.
Hyam,
Yes.
Heiss.
Yes.
We typically at this meeting arrange for our cleanup days. So, open for comment on that, or suggestion?
It's usually the first weekend of May, ain't it?
Typically, yeah. Right then, yeah. Well, I think the past couple of years, it's been like right on, like, there's been a Saturday right on like May
Yeah, the
2nd or something
May
like
the
that.
3rd and 4th would be the first weekend.
Already got it written down.
So that'd basically be weekend before Mother's Day. So. May
No,
3rd
that's
and
2
4th.
weekends. That's 2 weekends before Mother's. Well,
No, it shouldn't
yeah, it's
be.
it's the weekend before Mother's Day.
May 3rd and 4th.
Yep.
I guess if something come out, we can make it the 17th, 18th. That not a holiday weekend.
Shouldn't be
is it?
Should
anything
be all
come
right.
up.
Yeah. So we got,
Unless you think it would interrupt your preparations for Cinco de Mayo, Chuck.
I don't know.
Probably.
Well, at least that another weekend open and say something does come up. I can't remember anything ever
So
coming
do we
up.
have a motion for May 3rd and 4th for cleanup days for 2025?
So move.
I second it.
Roll call. Roll call.
Lohman,
Yes.
Hyam,
Yes.
Heiss.
Yes.
Approval of the appointment of Township Trustee for 2025. Currently, that is
Attorney.
Alan R. Trends, attorney, what did I say?
Trustee.
Township Attorney. Sorry, the words are starting to blur together. Township Attorney for 2025. Currently, that's Alan R. Trends. Is there any motion for the appointment of an attorney?
Yes, me.
And is that for Alan Trends?
Yes.
I second it. He still wants the job, right?
Well, he's gone, so you don't have a choice.
He hasn't said otherwise.
Yeah, I would think so.
Roll call.
Lohman,
Yes.
Hyam,
Yeah.
Heiss.
Yes.
Is anyone aware of any appointments that are needed either to the Zoning Commission or to the Board of Zoning Appeals?
There's nothing changed.
Okay. They're all good.
Thank you. And really, this just puts on the record a request from each department supervisor for an inventory list report that would be due January 8th of 25. Let me see what kind of day that is.
A Wednesday.
It's a Wednesday. It shouldn't be too bad.
Mine's done.
Is that usually when you do it?
Yeah. And a request from each department supervisor of an inventory list report of the communication equipment and and also who has possession of cell phones with Verizon, also due by January 8th, 2025. So what I would like, so I can really get a handle on this kind of once and for all, if you could make an independent list, Chief, Jim, Brenda, Rick, the phone number, the actual phone number of a device, and who has it or who carries it. And I'll cross-reference that with the most recent bill, and we'll get a consolidated setup with the cell phones. 'Cause what's that?
There isn't any in the maintenance department.
Can you put that on a piece of paper, please? Thank you.
I have a question.
Yeah, shoot.
think back in October, you and I talked about that, and you handed me a list. And I went through and marked down what we had over there and what they were for.
Mm-hmm.
Did I email you that list, or did I turn that list back into you?
I'll have to look.
Okay.
I'll have to look.
You got it. It had phone numbers on it and what they were, whether
Okay.
cell phone or tablet, heart monitor, stuff like that.
Okay.
If I have it, I'll give it to you, but I think I might have turned that back into you.
I'll look for it. In the meantime, if you could also check your sent mail, I'll check mine, see if.
Okay.
And also, Brenda, I know you and I talked specifically about that. If you could just write it down or something, and also requests from each department supervisor for a proposed budget for 2026, and that would be due May 3rd. Well, let me make sure this day. What day is this? Is
Tuesday.
yeah, May 13th, 2025. And that will be a little more detailed as we evolve and get better at budgeting. And I'll work with you all on that. That'll be more specific, actual budget line items rather than just capital spending requests. The capital requests will be in your mind when you're writing those numbers, but they'll end up getting discussed in detail when it comes time for actual planning in the fall leading up to the next year. Is there any other comment on that? With the trustees, the next item is going to be a resolution approving a specific salary schedule for all township employees. Does the trustees want to move for executive session to discuss that? Or no, that's what we typically
Well, I thought we
do.
already
You already
figured
approved
that out with the pay increases for the coming year. Do we need anything different than that?
We just have to
Maybe a
approve it.
couple of details. I've got a couple of documents to look at that would be attached to that.
Okay.
If you want to just move, go there for 3 minutes,
Okay.
look at it, come back.
I move we go into executive session to discuss salaries.
I second it.
9:34.
Loman,
Yes.
The only
Hyam,
thing is, when we come back out, I want to go through the policies. Okay. Oh, okay. Figured you guys
Ayes.
Yes.
So we'll resume at 9:52.
I have proposed resolution 0625, which would approve the salary schedule that was already previously approved in the special meeting by the trustees. There's really no changes to that.
I move we accept the salary schedule for 2025.
Second. Roll call.
Loman,
Yes.
Hyam,
Yes.
Heiss.
Yes. You got 2 pages.
Yeah, on that one, you'll need to sign both the resolution and the salary schedule attachment. last proposed resolution that I have for the meeting is related to township policies. And for what it's worth, I know that when some policies were discussed, you know, there was some things that were looked at that may have been from the past, not sure how long ago. I can tell you what was passed at this similar meeting by the trustees last year in Resolution 7. Here's a copy for each of you for what it's worth. I know that policies is a current topic, so open it up for discussion, and whatever you want attached can be attached to a resolution. Another option is proposed resolution 7 could be tabled. I don't think it would be all that bad to have it tabled for the January meeting if there's some finalization or some things you want to go over, or if you want to compare, contrast what you've been working on with what you passed last year.
Okay.
That's an option as well. It doesn't affect any of the financials of the township, but it's something that needs to be done and needs to be done soon.
Yeah, let me take over because I was working on it.
Yep.
Okay, Brenda.
Do we have to vote on that or not? To table it?
No, well, I'm going to
You
go
just
through
not
it, and if nobody has
Okay.
any objections, we'll approve it, and if there's questions, we'll table it until next meeting.
Go for it.
Okay, Brenda went through all the stuff and pulled out folders, and there was a Crosby Township Policies and Procedures Manual that was adopted by the Crosby Township Trustees on January 5th, 2011. I gave a copy of it. Well, I gave everybody a copy of it. It was that stack of stuff that had all the red print on it, and the red print was everything that was incorporated into the final copy. So basically, everything that you had there was in the final copy.
So you have a final copy?
I got the final copy right here. Brenda's got a copy of the final copy, and I gave Alan a copy of the final copy. And he had nothing to add to it. I don't know how much time he spent on it. I read through the entire thing. I thought it was pretty good as far as touching on a lot of stuff. The only thing that we didn't have, and I'm going to add, I'm not going to retype this book to get my stuff into it, so it's going to be an addendum to this copy. I'll make a new index, and the book will be broken down in the sections. And that policy book will be in section 1. Section 2 is we don't really have a public records policy. And so I took and got the one offline from the, not the Attorney General, but the Oh, well, it was probably the same one. If you want to get it, but I'm thinking, well. There is one. It was given to the auditor this year. What, a public records policy? Please? A public records policy? Was there?
Yeah. I mean, we gave a lot of things to the auditor. I mean,
well, so I copied off the one from the, I think it was the state auditors.
I mean, the reality is what you adopt as your policy in the coming days or tonight is the policy.
Okay. Well,
regardless of what was.
So I took and basically copied it off almost verbatim. The only thing is we got to fill in a few boxes. And one of them is, it is the goal of Crosby Township that all requests for public records should be acknowledged in writing or if possible satisfied within how many business days? 10 business days, 5 business days?
A reasonable time according to statute.
Is what?
That is it.
A reasonable time according to statute?
Yeah. There's the public records, and here's why. Public records requests, the statute governing public records requests is not extremely specific. It shouldn't be specific. It gives the public the greatest access possible to the records. I mean, I could run into someone at the store and they could say, hey, I'm so-and-so. I would like to request public records of, whatever meeting. And that would be considered a legal public records request. And then the reason why you don't bind yourself to a specific time frame like that is because they may say, I want, the minutes of like every meeting of the last 2 years. And I could respond and I could say that's overly burdensome. Or I could say, yeah, I'll get on that for you. Let me provide that for you. But I can't do that in,
Right.
a really short period of time. So there's I believe the statute refers to a reasonable time.
Okay, I copied that.
Yeah,
down.
Jim?
I think one year when I was trustee, that we had somebody from Florida wanting records, and it was kind of like, how do you, we told them they had to come here to get them, and then we never heard another word.
Right.
But there was a thing on the TV, or was out in, they was talking about the big push about public records. It was a big one year, and that's the only time that I know of that anybody ever came to this building and asked for a public record.
Okay,
And but somebody was local, and that was over Fort Scott, before Fort Scott, the minutes, remember, Dennis?
yeah,
And we got sued, we had to pay off because the lady who did the shorthand, she still had them in shorthand, she wouldn't change them to regular writing, whatever you call it. And so we couldn't provide them, because she
Yeah.
wouldn't do it.
yeah.
Yeah.
A copy I got does have copies of public records. It must be made available within a reasonable amount of time.
Okay,
Yeah, because that's what and they're just copying, what the statute generally says.
okay,
And I tell you what is reasonable and what is prompt.
okay. Then copying and mailing cost, you charge for paper copies is 10 cents.
Yeah, that's what I have.
And then a compact disc is $2.
I would strike that language if I were you, because I don't even know that we have the capability to create that.
A disc?
Yeah. It's not to say that we don't have the ability to give them something similar. I mean, it could be a flash drive,
Right,
it could
be
be
a flash drive.
something like that, but
Well-
specific language can be problematic. I mean, you could get someone, if someone really wants to be a jerk, I mean, they can come and say, well, I mean, this is a flash drive, this isn't a compact disc. Policy says compact disc. And so
Okay, I'll strike it.
you could maybe say, you could change it to flash drive, really. I mean, you could, because that's easy enough. We have all got USB drives.
Okay, $2 a flash drive? Or what dollar do you want to put on it?
I would put 10.
$10 a flash drive?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, and then behind that, everybody got a copy of the records that have a time frame on them. G is general records. I just kind of made it simple.
That's related to retention, right? Records
Yep,
retention.
Retention periods. Mostly everything I have here is paper because I didn't think we did much of any others. I'm open for discussion on that. General is the biggest. Then we have maintenance records. I went through and I took all these out of the one they had on, that I got off of the website from the Ohio History Connection because it has to be approved by them. And so I just went through and copied everything off I thought that was relevant to us. And most of it's paper, telephone messages, it's electronic. I gave everybody a copy of that to look at. If everybody's happy with it, I'll transcribe this over. We have to fill out this form to the Ohio History Connection and then mail it in. And they have to approve it, and the auditor has to sign off on it too. So if everybody is happy with what I have here, I'll take and fill this form out and send it in for approval. If there's anything nobody likes.
I've got a question. Phone records, higher wage stuff, just to clear.
I don't, phone records,
You referring to like on your cell phone or?
I mean, it goes into my email, all email records.
some of the stuff that I was reading is stuff that you get on your cell phones or emails are not really hard records. And so they were pretty loosey-goosey on that.
It's kind of like this. You can.
If somebody sends you a contract email, you're going to print it off. And, yeah, but, as far as correspondence and stuff like that, you don't, that's non-material according to them.
Well, it's like this. If someone was to say, I'd like to request all of Rick Espel's, work-related text messages and emails from, over the month of July, that's information that we would do the best we can in a reasonable amount of time to provide. However, that doesn't necessarily mean that all of those communications are things that have to be preserved as in a records retention policy. You know what I mean? So it's not that it's not publicly accessible, but it's not something that you have to worry about deleting. You know what I mean? If it's there when it's requested, we provide it. If it's not there, it's not something that you get in trouble for. Yeah.
Well, here it is. Telephone messages, you keep them until no longer of value.
Right.
So once when.
And that's your discretion. I mean,
Right.
just understand that, all public employees should understand that those communications, if they have not been deleted, they can be provided.
Okay, and then the next section was all the resolutions that were passed that are not in that book. So I have the resolution adopting an investment and depository policy, which we just did not long ago. I have Crosby Township acceptance of real property / services. I got that, and then I got the Crosby Township dumpster policy. I have that, and then I got the Crosby Township drone policy, and I copied this one off of Corraine. I know a township trustee over there, and he said, look at our policies, and if anything you can use, take it. He says, no use in that. So they only had 2 parks out of all their parks that they would allow drones to be flown in. It was because of size. And I figured I just put down our size was not large enough to operate drones or unmanned aerial vehicles. And so therefore Crosby Township prohibits the operation of any remotely controlled or radially controlled vehicles on Crosby Township-owned property. So that's the only thing that we can govern, because private property, we can't govern somebody's neighborhood flying a drone around on his neighbors. That's out of our jurisdiction. And I got guidelines for disposing of equipment in Crosby Township. I got the Crosby Township Community Center rental policy. I got the Crosby Township shelter rental policy. I got the Crosby Township policy for the burial or cremation of unclaimed and indigent bodies. So that policy was in a stack. And that was a lot of stuff on that policy. Then I got a statement of expenses incurred in budget and burial of indigent. There's a form you can fill out, I guess, to get money reimbursed from the state. So I got all those. That's in that next section. And then my last section is just a copy of what I gave everybody, department head here, of what the employee policies are that they have to sign off on. So, and that's in the last section. And so if everybody is happy with everything that's in here and we got everything covered, then I would give every department head a binder like this with all the policies in it. And when you hire somebody, you would take the back section out, run off a copy, or have Brenda run off a copy, and then they sign and they put down what, if they have a credit card and if they have a cell phone. And I have read and understand the policy set forth by Crosby Township, which covers workplace harassment and sexual harassment and township vehicle use, credit card use, internet usage, cell phone, disposition of property. So that's the way I did everything.
So each one of these, you got each employee then?
Yeah, every employee will get this packet, and I would probably do it after the first of the year. And then they sign off on the cover sheet, which the department heads would probably give to the fiscal officer so he can keep in their file. And they keep all these policies so that they can't say they never saw them. And they take them home with them. So that was the way I was organizing it. So I'm open to comments. If anybody wants to change anything, I'm open to comments. I just put this out here so that we had something to work off of. If you want to take and leave it go tonight and do something with it in January, I'll make the couple of things. And then the fire chief mentioned that what was in this township procedures manual and policies didn't really pertain. So he was going to give me his information on the firefighters. I'd put an addendum in here to cover the firefighters, sick time,
Yes.
all that.
Yeah.
So that would go in this book too.
I think my preference would be, we talked about a couple little, small little tweaks already.
Yeah.
My preference would be if you were able to get that, and instead of making it an addendum, make it part of the thing, or in its own section or whatever. That would be my preference.
Now I have to re-engineer the book, but I can do it.
Well, hold on. I have an idea for you, Dennis. I think I can be helpful. I did find that document in my computer, the one that had the red and all
Right.
that. So if I worked with you and you wanted to incorporate your changes into the master piece, I think I could do that. I should
And
be
we
able
could
to
just
do it.
print off all new copies.
Yeah, just of like
Okay.
whatever the end. In other words, you shouldn't have to do. I don't think you'd have to go back and type a lot of stuff, as long as you can show me
Right.
what you want where.
You got it in your computer. I forgot all about that.
Yeah, I
So we can,
was just looking, trying to find some
right,
help.
we can put it in. Okay.
Another thing that may be helpful going forward is, we have a relatively, consolidated employee packet for, when we hire folks going forward. I think the first person will be Jamie,
Yeah.
on her first day. That includes all of the forms that they need to fill out for tax purposes and stuff like that. I don't know that the department heads really need to distribute it. It can be distributed as
Out of your office?
right, yeah, right there. And ultimately, you know, if the trustees going forward hire a more centralized administrator, that kind of HR stuff would pass to that person.
Sure.
Where they would distribute that. But yeah, we have the packet. We can add it to the back of the packet and get it done. You sign that, you know, just like you would sign your W-4.
Okay. But I would still put all that information in the
Oh, yeah.
department head's binder so that they got everything there.
Absolutely. Yeah, they need to have access to that. And
Okay. Well, then we'll just put this off until January meeting.
Dan, I really appreciate all that work, Dennis. That's
Yeah,
I mean,
It's a
that's
lot
what
of
we
work,
need.
yeah. I have a question. If I wanted to, you all to consider like one more thing, would it be better to wait until January or for me to speak it now and you think about it, or?
Give us,
Is it related to policies?
Yes, it is.
It'd be good for now.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's why I didn't want to. I was going to tell you too, I did find just some little typos that I figured when I had a chance, that's what I would do, like words are misspelled. Not many, a couple, just kind of cleaning that up.
yeah.
On page 21, if you'd go look at that page with me. I just want to make a general suggestion and make towards an IT policy. But I want to go to 21 where the second paragraph says, employees of the township shall not use the fax machine, internet, email, or online services to violate the privacy rights of the township, other employees, or citizens. No township employee shall provide access to confidential information through the fax machine, internet, email, or online services. The transmission of confidential information shall only be in accordance with the current procedures and regulations. All employees of the township shall use all reasonable safeguards when using the fax machine, internet, email, or online services to avoid mistaken distribution of information. And my suggestion that you might want to consider is adding an IT policy that says something like an IT policy to protect the township information systems in use and the privacy of each employee of the township that would prohibit the installation and use of non-authorized programs and applications in the township information systems and software, not altering a computer. Each employee should, I just added that isn't what I had written. Each employee should be required to accept the rules and regulations and agree that their non-authorized use of equipment, systems, programs, or applications would be grounds for immediate disciplinary actions up to and including dismissal. It offers I would hope, a guard against doing things beyond that with any applications, any programs, just not putting things like I wouldn't take my computer somewhere and have somebody put something on it because it would be unauthorized. We just stay with authorized. What
All right, well, give me that, and
That's not job related, correct?
No, it is. What do you mean?
Like, don't put a gaming system on your computer, that's not job related. But
yeah,
if
and
I
I
need to
was-
put on a program for the state for fire reports, that would be okay,
yeah.
correct?
Yeah. This is only things that aren't proper within our structure of our
Gotcha.
township. But you can consider it, and
well, why don't you just take and give everybody here
I
a
think I
copy?
have some copies.
Do you? Okay.
I just wrote around a little bit on it while we were talking, but this is
That way everybody's
yeah.
knows what we're talking about.
It just puts a little safety check in place, but I'll adhere to the same policy with IT.
Here, you want your written copy back?
Trade check.
Okay, well, you got an extra one here.
I'll give one to Jason.
Rumpke is lazy, if they see stuff.
I think you do. Yeah, there you go. Okay,
And you can think about it, and we can
Yeah.
go back in January.
No.
It doesn't have to take
all right.
Did we have to approve this tonight? That wasn't
You already did.
we did?
It was.
Anybody else have any other comments?
Oh, okay.
I was gonna ask you, on the drones,
My mind wasn't.
that's only running it, operating from our property, right? I mean, if guy next door, if he's running his drone, is he allowed to fly it over here? You know, the next property over.
Yeah.
The,
What, drones?
the idea is no.
What?
The idea is no.
Right.
Now, I don't know how enforceable it is, but the idea is no. It's kind of like, it would be, they're setting up a regulation for the use of the park. So it's just just the same as putting up a sign that says, this is not a dog park, your dog's got to be on a leash. You know what I mean? It's kind of the concept.
I just was wondering.
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
I didn't know that would meant the guy drives over, gets out of his car, he's standing here in our parking lot flying the drone around, or if the neighbor had one flying over top of him going.
It does get tricky when you're talking about airspace, but I mean, the idea is the trustees are sitting here saying you're not allowed to fly drones over the park.
all right. Well, I'll work with Brenda to craft a book. And I don't know if we'll get it done by next meeting, but we'll give it a shot.
With Christmas.
I know. We'll give it a shot.
All right, sounds good.
Okay, that's all. So I guess the resolution 7/2025 is going to be put on hold until
I put in the
January.
minutes, the notes for the minutes, reviewed proposed policies tabled to January regular meeting.
Okay,
So we'll keep it that same resolution number?
It just, yeah, I mean, I would say so. I mean,
Yeah.
I already told Alan, plan on 8 for that
That's
one,
right.
so.
That's why I was wondering.
okay.
And the language of it probably won't change, because the only thing that would change is I would take a paper copy of the whole bundle. I would take a paper copy of that whole binder and make that the attachment to this when it's approved. And that's why my suggestion was get it ironed.
Right. Okay. All right.
Other concerns? Please don't say anything. The next regular business meeting will be January 13th, 2025 at 7. We're having a special meeting on zoning meeting, January 6th, 2025 at 7 p.m. Do I have
Move we adjourn.
I second it.
You had to think about it.
Yeah.
Roll call.
I get
Lohman,
Yes.
Hyam,
Yes.
Heis.
Yes, I get write notes down.
What time you got there?
10:22.
President?
It's a special trustee meeting for zoning, what it amount to.